We don't have a sponsor. We're not sponsored by any real company.
This is Hot Drop, where we bring you premier PUBG analysis and drops that melt in your mouth, not in your hands. I'm Dano.
And I'm Cody.
And let's get into it.
So we're here with episode 51.
Yes, we've crossed into the second half of the quarter bicentennial with episode 51.
It's true. This is PUBG on Xbox, soon with 100% more Beardface.
We know why our constituents of Hot Drop? It's because we did it.
My constituents!
Constituency. You guys did it. We did it.
We got there. I'm getting an Xbox soon, everyone. I mean, we have to wait to get our Twitch money, but we got there. Now, of course, that does not mean that we don't want your hard-earned money so that we can buy fun things. Don't think that for a second. We still want your hard-earned money because, like, I got a ham radio for a computer right now.
You got to crank it before you turn it on.
But here's the thing, guys. I'm super pumped because the second I get this Xbox, it's much easier to get on and play with a bunch of people when you can sit your ass on the couch and play.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped. We're going to play a ton of PUBG, especially in the fall and the winter when I don't have as much yard work to do. There's so many hours that I could just sit here and play video games on the Xbox. So I'm pretty excited about this. So thanks again. A special thanks to Derek, Matt, and ITT Tom, who really just set us over the edge there for that Xbox with that sweet ass donation during our last stream. So thank you guys for the legendary support.
So freaking cool. And like you're just saying, our Twitch payout, this is a pretty massive milestone for us too. Like the fact that we finally accumulated enough of those bits and subs to finally get a payout. Super cool. Super cool. I never thought this day would come, especially like we're not doing this for money. Like we say we want your money and we do, but we're not doing this for money.
I mean, who doesn't want money?
Yeah, right.
That's kind of the thing. Like we didn't get into this. Dan and I had talked about it way back when that we should do a podcast or a radio show one day. And we'd always kind of talked about it. And then he did this, asked me if I would be a part of it. And even when like there's like a little bit of drama or like people being like mean or unkind to others, especially from outside entities, like I always have to say like, hey, I'm not even doing this for like fame or attention or anything.
No,
I just do it because like you and I get to hang out and we get to do stuff together and we live a lot of miles away from each other after so many years of living minutes from each other. So it's just really cool. And you guys are incredibly welcoming to other people. And this is just one of the coolest like communities to hang out with. And we become friends with some of you. And it's just really nice to be able to know what's going on in your lives, know about your wives and your kids and your hobbies and your work and all this stuff. And we get to play PUBG together. Mm-hmm. So it's the total package and none of us have to leave our houses to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not even wearing pants right now.
It's
not
so
even wearing pants.
There it is. I'm hoping you'd squeeze in some of your dulcet tones this episode.
Google's dulcet.
Yeah, that's actually, I don't even know what that means. I just say it. Define dulcet. Especially of sound, sweet and soothing, often used ironically. Well, that's not right.
You son of a bitch.
Oh man. But yeah, now that you got the Xbox, it's going to be so much fun. We have this huge group of people ready and waiting, excited to play with us. I'm super stoked. It's just a whole different group of people, you know, like it's the same game, but a different game. And it's going to be a little bit of getting used to, getting you ramped up and used to the controller. But you come from a controller background, so you're going to be able to pick it up no problem. And I'm excited to be right there with you now, finally, together.
And I'm excited to use the Xbox controller because I've used the PlayStation controller for so long. But from what I hear, people freaking love the Xbox controller.
I prefer it, for sure. I like the layout of the sticks, the locations of where the thumbsticks are instead of side by side.
I always found that to be a little difficult on a PlayStation.
Yeah. So, yeah, we did it. Thank you guys so much. And one of the things that we also did this week was custom games, and that was so much fun. on the PC. There was some hiccups. It took us a little bit to get up and running, of course. We were learning the system just like you guys were. But we were able to get in. We were able to play some war modes. We played a regular match as well. And when we do this, we're able to control all of the game mechanics, all of the settings. So like when care packages come, what do they hold? What weapon loadout do you have? All those timings and down but not out timers and health regen amounts for war mode. Every little setting we can control. So it was pretty cool. We were able to tailor some war modes right to what the people wanted to play. And I think we got a decent amount of people. There was about 10 or more people in there, which is a good showing because we have definitely a more active Xbox community than PC. But yeah, you guys came out. It was a great time. We neglected to take a photo. We should have totally taken a family photo in the hills of a war mode, but didn't do that. Next time for sure. But we're going to make this thing a regular thing, I think. It's now that they're open to everyone, in a beta test fashion, we're going to get in there. We don't have a set schedule yet, but definitely coming up soon. Expect another one probably next week or so, to get in there and play another round with us. And also, the other thing I wanted to say about the custom night was we had a really, really fun regular game mode. It was only 8 of us or 12 of us. I think it was 3 teams. Yep. And it was really short, but what we did was we sped up the circles, so people had to be moving constantly. And I thought it was like really cool and like, it's kind of a weird word to use, but intimate, I would say. Like we were able to go up against people that we knew, and we were able to say, okay, this guy, he usually plays like this, so you can expect him to be here. So, you know, like that was like a different take on this game in a game that's so filled with randomness. Anonymity, I guess I would say. You never know who you're going to go up against. But now we knew that like this person was on this team, so he was probably going to lead them to go this way, and this other guy was probably going to play more passively, or, you know, we could sort of feel out our enemies a little bit more, and it was really cool to sort of methodically work through the map and then eventually come up against each other right at the end. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. So get in for that too, not just the war modes. I think the regular custom modes were just as good, if not better.
Super fun.
So HOTLINE, the HOTDROP hotline, of course, 508-216-0006. What we're doing this week is also doing a extension, or I guess, or a continuation of the question and answer segment. So if you guys have any questions, as well as your usual joke or shout out or whatever, voicemails you want to do. If you ask a question, we'll pick it out if we deem it worthy enough for an answer or interesting enough to provoke conversation. We'll pull it out and then answer it in the middle of the podcast instead of just playing it at the end. And finally, the top 10. So the winner of week 5, which was the best snipes, was Clay. Congratulations on those power snipes.
Pretty awesome.
Freaking baller. But this week, we don't have the winner chosen yet, but the submissions are closed. The theme is best pickups or saves or revives, and you can expect that video to come out on Friday. But in the meantime, I think we can announce the next week's top 10. Do you want to just go back to a regular top 10 plays? Just let's
throw it back
culmination?
in. Top 10 play.
Yeah, top 10 play. Anything you got? Because I think that brings in a little bit more entries, and it gives you more options for what you can submit.
Yep.
So
remember, a limit of 3. So pick your best 3 and try to keep them to around 30-ish seconds.
Yep. And we accept submissions in the Discord. And, of course, the winner gets that custom Discord emote, the coveted prize. So that's about 10 minutes of housekeeping. I think you're ready to jump into the Xbox box.
The Xbox box! What's in the box?
We have a community weekly post. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, but here's the thing. They're not really weekly.
No.
Sometimes there's more than one. Other times there's not one.
But that's just a name, I guess. Yeah, just a name. What's in a name?
What is in a name? A rose by any other name, something.
I don't don't know how that goes.
A rose by any other name still smells as sweet. Ah, fuck. Now I have to Google it.
Yeah, I'm Googling it. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Yes, it's a popular reference to William Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet, in which Juliet seems to argue that it does not matter that Romeo is from her family's rival house of Montague.
Correct.
Boom. You learned something today, boys.
I, at one point, knew every line that Romeo had.
Were you in that play?
I did an excerpt from it when I was in the 9th grade. I thought it was cool. I still think it's a really great play.
It is.
But I memorized every one of Romeo's lines because who didn't want to be Romeo minus the killing himself part?
Truth. So I was in that play, and I played the guy right at the beginning who was biting his thumb at the guy. I was like, I bite my thumb at you, sir. That was me. And I think I also was on stage crew or something.
It sounds about right. You usually had one line and then we're on stage crew.
Yeah.
Until we did Three Musketeers.
Yeah. We crushed it. There were some fun fights in that show.
Meet me at the Combs to Show bonus.
Noon. Anyway.
We're back.
Hello,
everyone.
This is the Xbox
with another Xbox community update. And this week we'll be going over some new features coming from the game, going over to some issues addressed this week, and also taking a look at some of next week's hotfix. Let's get started. Analog movement. Analog movement has been a popular request for a very long time, and we're happy to announce that it will be patched next week with a hotfix.
This is actually already out, by the way.
Yeah, it's already out. We're just reading you an old thing. So the current movement system resembles playing with a keyboard, where the character is only able to move in 8 directions. This restricted character movement freedom to only 45 degrees between each direction. With introduction to analog movement, players will be able to move freely 360 degrees with the left stick on the controller. Oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, so what this is at a very high level is, if you think about a keyboard, you have 4 directions, WASD usually, forward, left, back, and right. So what it was doing before was simulating the movement of pressing the keys. So you had, you can move in the direction forward, or you can move in the direction of pressing forward and right, which would simulate a 45-degree angle from that up into the right. Then you can go to right, you can go down to the right, you can go down to the left, left, up into the left. So those are the only directions you could go in. But now with an analog movement with a thumbstick, you can move in a whole lot more directions. You can make a neat little circle instead of seeing your character do these janky 45-degree turns when you're trying to make a perfect circle.
That seems super smooth.
Yeah, and we do have some initial feedback from people in Discord. A lot of people said they noticed it, but they didn't think it was a huge difference. Ray in Discord said the movement felt sluggish. He had to turn up his sensitivity a little bit. And Scale Speeder, Matt Von Doom, and Jamie all said the analog movement is a step in the right direction. But subtle. Didn't make a huge difference overall. And there's some other opinions about the patch, but we'll get to those in a little bit. So please continue.
Yeah, PUBG Official Club. We're introducing the PUBG Official Club, a new messaging platform for a wider audience, launching at the start of August. It's the start of August. It works similarly to hubs you're familiar with, but with the added benefit of official posts from us. You'll be automatically joined if you have a record of playing PUBG on Xbox, and it should be easily accessible for everyone. The post made will be shown on the dashboard and will include space for comments to interact with other devs and your fellow players. It kind of sounds like the community page on Steam.
Yeah, exactly. This is an Xbox club. We have one for HOTDROP, so if you guys want to, you can just type in HOTDROP. You'll see our logo, and you can request to join it. It sounds like they're just getting an official one. It's really all it is.
Cool. All right. So bans, a few patches back, they introduced the reporting system for team killing. A big thank you to everyone who has been proactively reporting after being intentionally killed by a teammate. Sounds like somebody's salty. While a system like this doesn't work well with automatic bans, we'll be looking at cases and issuing out punishments in the following ways. Your first time ban will be 1 day. Your second will be 3 days. Your third will be 7 days. And your fourth onward will be 15 days each. Wouldn't by the fourth they just be like, you can't play this game
Yeah,
anymore.
You'd think. Yeah.
We don't like you.
You're not welcome here.
You're not a nice person.
Yeah. Buy a new copy of our game. Yeah.
They have a similar plan for people who play solos and team up too, so they're trying to do that.
Yeah, they're cracking down on people who are playing this game the wrong way or playing it in such a way that it makes it unfair or not fun for other people. So I can get behind that.
Yeah. Moving on to desync, they're reporting players are reporting continued instances of desync. Who isn't?
Yep.
We're looking at all possible causes of this issue, including the technical side of their own build. While the research, they are planning on implementing a ping-based matchmaking system so that people with similar pings get matched with each other in an effort to reduce instances of desync.
Yes, and they have this on PC, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you, but they do have ping-based.
Yeah, I was going to say that. They implemented that a long time ago for us in one of the first double-digit patches, I think. It's definitely played a part, I think. I think we notice more drastically when somebody gets into a match that shouldn't be in the match.
Yeah, I think it made a huge difference in making the gameplay smoother overall.
What else we got here? Speaking of regions, in recent matches, they merged the Asia and Oceania regions. The name of the new combined server is meant to be OCAS, but it's currently shown incorrectly just as Oceania. They will change the name in the server from OCAS as it was originally intended.
Beautiful.
Why wouldn't they just call it ASOC?
OCAS. Do we want to talk about the upcoming hotfix section, or do we want to just jump into the actual hotfix?
Into the hotfix, because we're literally going to say this, and then we're going to go into the hotfix. So
and say it again. Yeah, I'll take this one if you want.
I know everybody wants to hear our voices more, but
our dulcet tones. Yes.
Ironically, that's not right.
The hotfix came out on July 31st, which was the show was live, of course. So that was yesterday. If you are listening to this when it was live. Wait,
no, Dan,
what?
Today's August 1st.
Oh, God.
2 days ago.
We're always live. We're live wherever you go at all times.
We're omniscient.
Whenever you turn on the podcast, we're live as of that moment. So, analog character movement, they've added it. It's a thing. It's here. They just said they would, and now they did. Players can now move in more directions. It's cool. There's a video. You can look at it. But I think you get the point. You move in a perfect circle instead of 45-degree increments.
Yeah, it's neat.
Stability. So the hotfix addresses numerous bugs relating to game crashes. Issues.
I see 4.
Yeah, numerous.
Technically 4 is numerous, right? Let's go with the theme of today and Google shit.
Yep, I'm doing it right now. So numerous is great in number or many, consisting of many numbers. Synonyms mean countless, numberless, innumerable. So
we can count that. So
4 seems a little bit low, I'm gonna say. That's just my gut reaction. However, it is numerous. It is many.
No, I would say
many means more than one.
It is numeric. It is not numerous.
It is numeric. It is 4. Fixed an issue while toggling the mute option of a teammate's mic, caused the game to crash. They fixed that. Optimized physics surrounding chained or wooden fences that were destroyed by a vehicle. Fixed a sound issue, which in some instances could cause the game to crash when windows were broken. And finally fixed an issue where the button guide when opening the inventory caused the game to crash. Interesting. So now performance. They introduced a few optimizations. So here we go. We've gone from numerous being 4 things to a few being 3 things. I feel like they really got to nail down this numbering system here.
Yeah, how can
numerous be 4 while few is 3?
1, 2, 3. Whew. Oh boy. God damn.
4 is the threshold to cross over into many, numbers that you can't even count. Optimized world loading so that assets will load at a faster rate. Improved loading speed of detailed textures on the Xbox One X. Assets will load at the same rate as before update number 17. Optimized scoping at leaves and grass to reduce frame rate drops. And now we have, we're down to 2. They don't say this number.
They just say bug fixes.
1. We have 1 bug fix, and there's actually 2. It's in my head. That's what they said. Fix an issue where the sound of footsteps on sand was being played twice, and an issue where sometimes player loot crates would not show after a player died. That's a good fix. That's a problem. And they're looking into issues with desync and sound. Appreciate your patience, blah, blah, blah. Send us your reports with videos that will help us make the game better because we don't know what we're doing. And in the meantime, be sure to let us know how you feel about the newly introduced analog movement. Keep an eye on your feedback across our channels.
And guess what? We've got feedback.
We got it.
So we're going to go over some of that feedback for your ears.
So Charlie MCN, famous for posting a video of himself sprinting home drunk at 1 a.m. to play with us, said, the game is feeling a lot smoother. Last 2 updates have made the game feel a lot better. Xbox One X loading assets when landing is much better now. Not sure about desync and hit registration based on ping matchmaking preference, though. So he's feeling like the game is a little bit better. It's loading a little bit faster. And Colonel Ping kind of disagrees. He said he has had some loading issues. Also said the slow walk function is cool. So he's referring to the analog movement there where you push your stick up just a little bit to walk slower. He says it's kind of cool, but he doesn't see how it'll be used in game. It's actually very slow. And I agree with that because little known fact, on PC, there's a walk button. You can walk, but it's so slow that no one uses it. So it's pointless.
I would never use it.
And it also doesn't make you completely silent. That's the other problem I have with it. Like if there was an option to walk and move around and make no noise whatsoever, maybe I would use it, but you still do make noise when you walk.
Right. Colonel Ping, I was wondering if you had a X or an S, though. That would be... Just shoot us over in the Discord or during the stream, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Ray says movement is sluggish and had to turn up the sensitivity, but we had already talked about that. Scale speeder, Matt Von Doom. What did I say his middle name was? Matthew Eugene Von Doom.
Yeah, Eugene.
Matthew Eugene Von Doom and Jammy Jam all feel like the analog movement is a step in the right direction. I'm excited to try this. Not that I'll be going from PC to Xbox, but since PC is the thing that they changed it from, essentially his eight directional movements, this will be interesting to test out because it's going to feel like any other game, but from PUBG to PUBG on different content is or consoles is going to be different.
Yeah, you might notice the more subtle things, I think, because you're so used to playing PC version that going into a version with different movement, like maybe you would even notice it more than the Xbox guys would. I don't know. It's possible. Yeah, maybe. Jamie, I'm also checking out Discord real quick because I thought there was a few more things here. Jamie said he felt a little easier moving around between furniture and stuff in small buildings. He felt a little bit more accurate with that. He wasn't bumping into door frames as much. Matt Von Doon said he had some issues where teammates had some black screens at the until close to the end of the flight path. He started noticing small things with the analog movement, but it was pretty subtle overall. Yeah, that's a new person here in our Discord. I want to throw a shout out to him. Karmakazi says the analog movement is subtle, but it smooths things out a little bit. So as for the loading and rendering, he's on the 1X, and he still was getting stuck in furniture that was loading with this new patch already applied. So he also had the black screen until mid-flight path a few times, which he hasn't experienced since he upgraded to the X. So there's your few bits of feedback. It sounds like this patch is good. The analog movement is good. It's not as game breaking as I thought, or game changing as I thought it would be. But it is, like we were saying, one of the things that Xbox has needed for a while to make the game just feel like any other Xbox game. Like before, it was feeling like a port, dropped in from the PC game over to Xbox, but now it's going to be more catered to the controller, the way it's meant to be.
Jeez.
Do you want to grab this mobile tip?
I do.
As we exit the Xbox box
and go into...
So we usually do an
section.
Xbox tip or a gameplay tip, but I wanted to give a very good shout out to Tom because this was an interesting tip, and the fact that he was super generous to us. I felt like he earned a spot here. Yep. You can't buy us though, by the way. Just don't try.
Me love. Tip trick for completing missions, achievements, practicing without affecting your current rank. When you're looking at the week's Royal Pass missions, see kill one with an M24. You think, forget that because I'm not going to chase crates. When you want to practice working together as a squad but don't want to drop a Diamond 4, Here's the trick. Change your server location. In the top right side of the screen, when you were choosing the maps, change the country to any of the ones that you're not ranked in. Everything you accomplish on the different servers counts, turns the missions and achievements while not negatively affecting your main server ranking. That's awesome.
Yeah, smart.
Walked away. I have walked a few Discord members through this in live matches, and I could hear the enjoyment that they can now do those crazy things with no worry of dropping out of Diamond, Crown, Ace, or Conqueror. I have been doing this for some time with fellow PUBG players, trying different tactics, styles of game, weapon response, and grip configurations, all in real game experience away from the shooting range. Oh, mics are a must as in any platform, so you can call out contact. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Baby steps. Contact. Even today when we were playing, I was like, "Oh God, north, guys, warehouse, contact."
And that was your tip from ITT Tom. Education from the past. Thanks, Tom. We do have a good amount of mobile people, and we're gonna mention those in the mobile home beep beep. But I think it's a pretty smart trick there. If you don't want to worry about your rank going down and you want to play around with some of those game modes and missions, switch to a different server location. So that's a cool little tip. So now we're going to roll into this Q&A segment. So we, a couple weeks in a row now, we've gotten some questions, and we're going to play this voicemail, and then we're going to respond to it. So let's roll.
What's up, guys? It's Reaper again. I got 2 questions for you this week. First question, and I think by far the more important question, what's your favorite kind of pizza toppings? Second question, way less important than pizza toppings, if you could add one accessory to the game, not a weapon, but I'm saying like a grenade, a specific attachment, a specific sight, anything like that, what would you add to the game? Would it be something you could put on the car externally? Would it be something for your character specifically, like a certain piece of gear, like a ghillie suit, something like that? Let me know. Later.
I'm just pretty much a pepperoni guy. Sometimes I like peppers and onions, but pepperoni.
It's a classic. It's a true American classic.
Yeah.
This is tough because, so of course I have to make this like an essay, right? Mm-hmm. I like pepperoni. I like mushrooms. I like mushrooms and pepperoni together. I like mushrooms and black olives together. However, there's this pizza place nearby. It's a chain. It's a smaller chain that does pizzas like mashed potato, bacon, and scallion. They also do things like pulled pork and mango, and pineapple and bacon and red pepper flake. So when you have those options, it makes a regular pepperoni those options pizza.
Unless you're Dot Will, you son of a bitch.
Vote for Ricuties. I don't know how to say the name. I'm sorry.
That
was one of those times where I'm like, I read this word so many times, but I realized I never said it out loud, so I don't know how to say it.
Like, I look at the word, but I don't see the word.
Yeah.
Because I just want to say Richies.
Richies. Vote for Richies.
But it's not.
I think it's Ricuties. Or I don't know. I got to get my Ricuti shot.
Vote for his pizza place.
He's a guy in our Discord. He's a pizza place. It's delicious. Vote for it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with those combinations. But if that's, I don't have those. If I'm not at Dot Will's fine establishment in downtown DC area, I'm gonna say mushrooms. I feel like that's not an often picked topping, so I'm gonna go with that.
No, the only time I ever liked that was on the Big Paulie.
Oof. What was that large pizza with 24 wings and a 2-liter?
Yeah.
Oh God, magic.
That's good.
Destroy that on a Saturday. On to other questions. The other question, which was, what accessory would you like to see added? Is it a grenade? Is it an attachment? Is it a piece of gear? I'm gonna say I want to see a grappling hook, or somehow the ability to scale up high or steep inclines, or rappel down them. So I think this is really useful in Savage because there's a lot of places, and I noticed it in a war mode that we just played actually, there's like a couple buildings, and then there's a really steep incline, and you can't actually make it up that incline without slowing to less than a walk. So I would like to see a better way to move up and down steep terrain and not be punished so hard. And also on Savage, there's those massive cliffs that are pretty much straight up and down. So to be able to really traverse those quickly, I think a grappling hook would be a pretty sweet addition. And you're really exposed if you do that. So there's definitely a negative to trying that. This could help in a situation where we've been in on Miramar, which was we had it was us and one other team down to the final circle, and they were on top of a very steep mountain, and we were at the bottom, and we died because we just had nowhere to go, and they could pick us off from looking down on us. So maybe if we had an ability to climb that mountain, we could have tried that and flanked them from the side or something like that. So that would be cool. I also have one more little thing, because of course I can't keep it to one, which would be, it's not an accessory, but the ability to boost with your partner. So sort of like getting on one knee and putting your hands out for your partner to step on and then throwing them up over a high ledge. That would be sick. And like, we already have vaulting and climbing anyway, so why not put it into, a duo situation? I think that would be, the grappling hook would be my go-to here, because it's not like overpowered too much. Like, you're very, vulnerable if you use it. And it's not something like a grenade launcher where it's going to make the game not fun for people. It's just a different way to get around. I think that'd be fun.
Right. I really like your boost idea, but the only other thing that I think would be a cool addition is some sort of like incendiary grenade. So like not a Molotov cocktail that lands and explodes, but an actual like firebomb.
So how would that work?
I don't know how they actually work. I just think it would be cool to pull a pin, wait 5 seconds, and then like charge something that sets fires then. So on a 5-second timer, something that starts an actual fire. So like a frag grenade just creates the shrapnel and the explosion. The Molotov blows up on contact. I want something that you can pull, and then it has like a incendiary factor to it where it just starts fire, like a large explosion.
That could be really useful as like defensively.
Yeah, that's essentially what I was thinking. It's a defensive tactic. Obviously, you could, mess some people up with it, but like use it as a defensive tactic to distract or do whatever you need to do. I don't know. You can use it in a million different ways, but I think it would be cool. Sort of like when the 1/2 size version of one of the red zone bombs that you can throw as like a grenade.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm all about more weapons. I think you brought that up in a recent episode. Just more variety.
More variety.
Yeah, I agree. I'm all about that. Nice. Let's roll into the personal computer place. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Take it away, Rosie's voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll follow me, we are now entering the personal computer place.
So we were a little nervous because we didn't think that we were going to have a really nice update for this week for PC, even though we knew that, and still know that something big is coming down the line. This patch number 19 is not the big thing coming down the line.
It's big, but it's not the big one.
This is like the
it's like the appetizer.
The hors d'oeuvres. I believe that's how you say
hors
that.
d'oeuvres, yes.
Hors d'oeuvres. That's kind of given us a taste of like the direction that they're following this into, and we'll touch a little bit on our thoughts about the way that ties into this week's JMAGP substitute.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're really happy about the way that PGI went. I'm actually pretty happy with the way that PGI went. But now they're going to start making some changes to the game because they figured out the things that people want, and if they want to make this a viable esport and to have kind of legs for the platform, they've got to change some stuff. And so the very first thing, they're adding bullet penetration to arms and hands. Not legs, mind you, but arms and hands. So when a bullet hits your arm or hand, it will penetrate following its ballistic curve. The result will be different depending on whether the arm or hand is blocking vulnerable parts of the body. So like you have this ability to shoot through hands and arms to do the same damage that it would do if it hit it. That's what I found out for headshots, at least. So when a bullet penetrates the more vulnerable part of the body behind it, it does greater damage than you would think. So it doesn't slow the bullet down or do anything. It just does more damage because it's now hitting a limb and that vital organ.
Right, exactly.
Makes sense?
Yep.
So if they're blocking their head, the full headshot damage is applied, but it also works for the hand that you've also hit. So it's not a multiplier, but it does do the damage on top of additionals. I guess this is what you would call it, stackable damage. If it penetrates the arm or the hand, but not a vulnerable body part, i.e. the head, the heart, the stomach, only the arm and hand damage are applied. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense to do it differently.
Right.
Arm and hand penetration is disabled for shotguns. So I'm going to guess that the bullet spread is probably just too far away to make it worthwhile. That's my guess.
So I'm wondering about this because actually the shotgun was a use case where we saw bullet penetration really affecting us. Like you could be really up close and
you're right.
Put a ton of pellets into someone, but they all hit their arm.
I was thinking from farther away it wouldn't really matter because if you get hit by one pellet.
Yeah.
But close up, yeah. If somebody is pulling up their weapon and you hit both hands and their head,
yeah, I think
it's not going to work.
I think they're trying to balance this because they're thinking like, okay, you're gonna do like what?
You're gonna die faster.
Yeah, it's gonna make shotguns way more powerful.
It's gonna make every weapon more powerful.
Right.
I mean, if you hit anybody in the hand and it goes through to their shoulder, like you're doing more damage than you did before. So there's less time to run away when you're trying to escape something and trying to serpentine.
Yeah. So they took it out for shotguns, I think, just because of the sheer power that they would have if they kept it in.
And it's not applied to legs, which makes no fucking sense because your legs are never going to cover a vital part of your body. So,
yeah.
Like in any angle, any place that you're shot, the bullet's never going to go through your leg and hit your.
That would be so rare.
Stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to be right underneath the person, which isn't really possible.
You would have to be underneath them, and they would have to have their legs like up in a running position.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like impossible. Yeah. So makes sense.
Moving on from that, when exiting vehicles while pressing the sprint key, sprint now remains engaged. This way you won't have to release and press the button again to start sprinting. Oh, that's perfect. So it's just a smooth, and it locks in. Cool. Perfect.
So actually, I have a thing about this. So one of the biggest things that I really, really want this game to add, which I've never mentioned before, is the fact that I'm constantly aiming down sights, but I'm holding shift before I click the aim down sight button. Yep. Which makes it so you're not zoomed in and your breath isn't being held. So I want to be pressing shift, breath being held automatically and being zoomed in, say if I have a red dot, as I click aim down sight. So it's like hold shift, click, and then I'm already zoomed in and held breath.
Yep.
It doesn't work that way. Like you have to let go of shift and then hit it again. And
sometimes you get in this infinite loop of pull up, pull down, pull up, pull down when you're not hitting it correctly.
So yeah, that's one of my biggest requests. And this is what this is, but they're applying it to just the car exiting, not to the weapons that I want it to be added to.
Jeez. Where did I leave off here on this list?
You're at the last bullet under gameplay if a teammate disconnects.
Jace, if a teammate disconnects but is still alive in the game, other teammates couldn't see the game reward at the results screen after the teammates died. Now players can check even if there are disconnected players on their team. Bullet point. If a disconnected teammate reconnects to the game and finishes the game with better result, teammates will receive any additional rewards earned by that player. And to prevent abuse, other teammates cannot see the death cam until all players, including the disconnected player, have died.
I never noticed this.
Neither have I.
Good for them.
Cool. They're getting rid of the whole PGI thing.
Yeah, all the themes, the lobby music, loading screen
flag behind the plane.
Yeah, it's done. It's over. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So how about a thing now, Dan, that they should have changed a fucking year ago?
More than that. Like before it came out ever.
It's so stupid. I remember the first time that you told me this, he said, drop me some. And I dropped the whole thing of ammo. And he goes, no. You have to hit control and then either hit the plus or minus or type in the number of ammo.
Yeah.
And I go, why? Well, guess what, everyone? Now there's a fucking slider.
The way it should have been.
So we have a slider now that you can determine how much 5.56, 7.62, 45, or 9mm you want to drop to anybody. It's a slider. It's simple.
Genius.
It slides left or right.
and you don't have to take your hands off your mouse to backspace, type in a number, and then click.
Huh. Weird.
Amazing. Quality of life improved dramatically.
So also, you can take this, but I'm pretty excited about this next one too.
I should mention the quick buttons to drop a full stack or half a stack. So they have the slider if you drag the ammunition out or into your inventory. But if you hit Alt plus the left mouse button, it drops the full stack, everything. Or if you do Alt plus right mouse button, it drops half of the stack. So that's cool too. So you don't have to deal with the slider. You can just say, drop me half your ammo. Boom, done. Give me that 4x.
Beautiful. Give me that 4x.
So you want me to take this one? Weapon attachment management?
Yep.
Yeah, so listen close to this because there's some details here, but it's all good stuff. So they removed or replaced attachments will now drop onto the floor if there is no room in your inventory. When attaching directly from loot, the replaced attachment will drop on the floor if there's no room in your inventory. Previously, I think it wouldn't let you.
No, it wouldn't. It would just snap back into place, and you can't drop it or pick up the other.
Exactly, because it would say, "Oh, you have no room in your inventory," and you can't.
Or it wouldn't even tell you that you don't have room. It would just not let you do it.
Right? Yeah, it would just not let you do it.
So you would click bloop, and you're like, "What the?"
Yeah,
and then it would be there. So
exactly. So when replacing an extended magazine with a quick draw, the extended magazine and the overflow ammunition will be dropped on the floor, so you can do this now. And then when detaching an attachment by right-clicking, the attachment will be dropped on the floor if there's no room in your inventory. Pressing Alt while right-clicking a weapon now detaches all attachments on that weapon.
Oh my God.
Attachments will be sent to the inventory or dropped on the floor if inventory is full. That is a beautiful change. They have this on Xbox, by the way.
How many times, Dan, have you had like a fully suppressed crappy weapon and you go, "Oh man, I found this sweet SM4," and then all of a sudden you go, "Oh my God, I have to drag and drop
constantly." AKs or M16 if that's the first thing I find, and then I find all the attachments for it, and then I find like a QBZ.
Yep.
It's like so much time wasted dragging out all of the attachments.
So another thing that you could have used this last week was players can now mute individual teammates.
Yes.
We had that fella in the custom match, whatever, that was not great to be around.
So now you can mute them. Escape options and a team management tab, and you can mute individual players.
Yeah.
So, colorblind settings have been improved. The following colors now change according to the selected colorblind type: scope and reticle colors, blood, and supply crate smoke. Markers placed on maps are now numbered, so that color is not the only way to distinguish them.
Daniel.
And this brings us to the most controversial addition to the game in quite some time.
This is my thought on it.
We probably should explain what it is first, but... Is that the Halo theme?
I don't know.
It's nice.
It's just heavenly is what it is. So you can now place map markers without opening the map, mofos.
What does this mean?
It means you can right-click and press the Alt key, and it literally places a marker in front of you wherever you're marking it. So if you see contact at north, the hills, 185 even, you right-click where you see these people, and I can track that to that exact spot.
You see my marker and vice versa in the world, like augmented reality.
I am so excited, but here's the thing. People are pissed about this.
People are very pissed. I just watched this 20-second clip of Shroud saying how pissed he was about it. He hates it. He's saying it lowers the skill ceiling.
Yeah.
It makes it so people can use this against you. Say you have a really sweet sniping position and you're picking off the teammates one by one, and maybe only one of the guys sees you and the rest of the three have no idea where you are, but that one guy can tag you with the marker and then everyone knows exactly where you are. And then ruins your really sweet spot. So I get that. I don't want it to be used against me, but I want to use it with my teammates.
Yeah, and I get it. I understand. if it turns out that it starts becoming a problem, I trust that Bluehole's going to be like, yeah, this is dumb. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So there's one thing I wanted to look up. I just came across this on the subreddit. They seem to be really active now with replying to comments and threads and other things. But let's see. Okay, here we go. So on the subreddit, PUBG Wriggles, who is one of the community managers over at PUBG Corp, says, so far the reasons I'm seeing some people give for not liking this change are the same reasons I personally like it a lot. So this is PUBG talking here. This is the people who make this game. This guy says, it makes communication between you and your teammates easier and simpler. A lot of the arguments against it could also be made against the idea of showing markers on your compass. It makes it so you don't always have to look at your map, and it's not realistic to have compass with numbers on it always in your vision. I'm also not really buying that difficult communication is key to PUBG's success. That argument feels mostly like gatekeeping, to be honest. That's my hot take for now to go alongside Shroud's.
I feel like that is an almost bulletproof defense.
Yeah. Elaborate, please.
If you are starting to claim about the realism and difficulty of this game, and you want to say that that's too much to add in, where do you draw that line at some point? Because I would argue that being able to see a compass in front of you constantly is probably that line. Hell, a mini-map at that point. So if you want it to be realistic or you want to make it more difficult, I think that you need to allow for better, smoother communication between your teammates. The gatekeeping comment is indicative of sort of an elitist mentality to this game. And like, yes, I'm going to shit on Fortnite all the time because I don't like it. I think it's dumb. But I also don't want to drive people away because they are seeming elitist to other people who might want to get into the game, and you can't get into it at that point. It's a World of Warcraft CSGO type situation at some point, right? A bunch of people who know how to play this super complicated, difficult game. We don't want you part of it because, you know, you're new and you're not going to be good at it.
Yeah.
I want everybody to play this game.
Right, totally.
I want everybody to find it to be cool. I want the games to go faster. This will help them go faster because you're going to engage more. I think the circles will move faster when they have the adjusted circles for all the maps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in full support.
Full support. So actually, this was one of the few things lately that I've seen on Reddit that actually is debated in a friendly and logical manner. You don't see this a whole lot on the internet in general. A couple people were saying that they really like this change. It's all about the simple stuff, which is what makes the game easy to pick up and fun to play. This is one of the best features added. It avoids a lot of trash talk and discussions with your friends. It helps eliminate the language barriers. Maybe you have friends that don't speak your language very well, but you can still communicate with them easily with this ping marker now. This helps in different regions of the world where, you know, unlike the US, everyone speaks English. Maybe you live in Germany, or you live in Russia, or you live in France, where you're going to be playing on servers with people of all different languages. And you can now play with those friends a lot easier. There's also people saying like, oh, Shroud, of course, like he's one of the best people, you know, an elite at this game. And of course he's going to not want things to make other people better. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what he's saying, what some people have said.
Some people are saying, you sound like a journalist. Some people.
Sources allege. Yeah, there's just some good threads on this. I would recommend checking those out if you're interested to hear some well thought out arguments for and against this feature. I think it's a good one. I'm excited to use it. I think it's something that we brought up in the past before too. Like we've wanted this. Here's someone who compares it to when crouch jumping got removed in favor of vaulting. This person says they were already on the fence whenever Shroud has something to say about mechanics. When crouch jumping got removed in favor of vaulting, Shroud said it was a bad move because it takes skill away from the game. So should we go back to crouch jumping and instead of having vaulting now because it's an easier mechanic? This feature takes away roughly 5 seconds of thinking from players. I really don't see how this is as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. Yeah, they've had this argument in Counter-Strike and all these other games where it's like people who play a game for a really long time are really good at this one mechanic that is sort of like an exploit. Like in Counter-Strike, it's bunny hopping, right? So you can jump and you can take your hand or take your finger off the forward key and then press sidestep, and you will accelerate through the air. So if you chain these jumps together, you can basically move around the map a lot faster, and it's an ultra high skill ceiling thing to do. But it's like an exploit. Like that kind of feature shouldn't even exist in this game. Like, why is it that I can jump and air strafe and gain momentum more than I can when I'm running? Like that's a joke, right? So people have argued that like if you take that out, suddenly there's a lower skill ceiling because that's what they used to be able to do in older versions of the game. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but this is the same kind of thing where it's like we intentionally making the game, people arguing that intentionally they're making the game easier, which is not a bad thing, but some people see it that way.
Yes.
Anyway, I think we basically said the same thing back and forth to each other, but I'm going to sum it up and say I am also fully in support. I like this.
Support.
Next up, we have eliminated teammates can now place markers on the map. Love it.
Yeah, me too.
Especially for war mode, because we would always be dying and then being in the plane and then being able to like see our friends on the ground. But before we got in the plane, we couldn't actually mark where we died, you know? So that's good. And equipped weapons heads-up display now shows slot numbers for improved readability. Kill feed now displays personal knockouts, and I think this is when you grenade yourself or die from falling. Sharpening option has been added to graphics settings. You can now enhance sharpness independently of post-processing options.
It works. We just tested it. It's super cool.
Yeah, turn it on. It's a checkbox. Make it sharper. You'll be able to see things from further away with really more clarity. Added an option to set a maximum frame rate. So the maximum lobby frame rate is 30, 60, or unlimited. Maximum in-game frames per second is unlimited plus smooth off, unlimited plus smooth on, display-based, and custom. So smooth is an Unreal Engine feature that's explained in more detail in a response posted on the Unreal Engine website. So you can check out these patch notes, and there's a link to that. I actually just clicked on the link, and it's very technical. It's talking about VSync and all this other stuff, adaptive VSync. Check it out. I don't want to go into it. It's too much to explain when I don't even know what it is myself. So now you can also move your mouse cursor to another monitor when the system menu, world map, or inventory is opened if you use multiple monitors.
This is going to be key because I always hate trying to move from different monitors and hitting a button. So
yeah, we use those. So now world, dynamic weather. You want to grab this?
We got dynamic weather. The weather's changing now. Hey, they brought it back. Remember we used to have weather, just regular static weather? Now we have dynamic weather.
Yeah.
So now it's going to change. I think they said it, so it's only going to happen once during the game, just like the other map, right? I don't think they specified, but I assume that's going to be the same. It'll start off as one thing, and it will move to another.
Yeah, right.
Erangel, they have added overcast, and Miramar, they've added overcast and sunset. Overcast settings include dynamic weather and includes rain, fog, etc. during the game. Erangel has received some improvements as well. Small clusters of houses have been added into some areas of Erangel, which just happen to be like 8 buildings. Some of the halfway decent ones too, kind of placed alongside emptier roadsides. I think they're trying to encourage better cover fights.
Yeah, and moving from city to city. Like this is something that we noticed on Savage. Like there's just little complexes everywhere, like within sight of each other.
And those are the best fights you have. They're the most
totally.
Technical, they're fast. People can move around. It's pretty great. And so they're trying to encourage this on Erangel and Miramar now. So
and more options to get loot if you're in a panic and trying to find stuff. Yeah, all good stuff.
So they added trees in the open areas around the military base. Miramar has received improvements as well. More dirt roads have been added for better vehicle effectiveness, and certain high slope sections of roads have been lowered to enhance being able to use vehicles.
Yeah, this is good for that bus. There's definitely some spots on Miramar where you can't even drive the thing up the road because it's so steep. Custom match stuff. Yes, good stuff. So additional custom match presets have been added. A normal mode setting, which is early access setting. Level 3 helmets and clothing spawns are in the world. Item spawns are more scarce. The blue zone damage is weaker, and jet skis don't spawn. So they're trying to bring back the old days here when in game mode. Gamescom Invitational setting, which was what happened back in 2017. Same as the early access setting, but without the red zone and 1.5 times the amount of AR spawns. So there's some stuff about weather here. You can change some dynamic weather settings now.
So that's mostly you can change when the weather is going to change and how heavy that weather is going to be. Whether it's the fog or the rain, you can essentially put a giant rainstorm, I think, in the middle of the match and then stop it in 2 minutes, or put it right at the end circle, or do whatever you want.
Yep. Exactly. And now custom match sessions are listed in order of the number of players joined instead of time created. We noticed this problem when we had a lobby open for a while and then no one else was joining it. So it was because it was far down the list because we created it further back in the past, so no one was seeing it. So now the lobbies are listed by the number of players. And then when creating a game in esports mode, the red zone option is fixed to off. And when you create a custom match, you must fill in the game title to proceed.
Nice.
Performance. Cody, you want to grab this?
Yep, they improved frame rate by optimizing weapons not currently held in your hand. The level streaming has been enhanced to increase performance. Smoke and flames from vehicles have been optimized to improve frame rate. Fixed an issue where frame rate hitches would occur when environment effects were created, whatever that means. Server performance has been improved by adjusting the replication rate. Previously, replication for all visible characters in sight was refreshed every frame. Now, replication rate differs according to distance from the player. Network code has been adjusted to increase performance and lessen the discrepancy between the aim of the spectated player and the moving target being shot at.
Beautiful.
Sound. Decrease the volume of vehicle sounds for players inside vehicles, first-person mode.
Replay. And the replay system has now been updated to a newer version, and past replay files cannot be played anymore. Fix an issue where war mode / esports mode replays were not saved successfully. And bug fixes. Lots of issues fixed. Destroying doors with grenades or Molotovs previously did not display debris. Now they do. Some free-falling characters appeared to be locked in a default free-fall animation. Not anymore. They fixed an issue where pausing in replay did not pause the sounds. They fixed an issue where a frying pan and a firearm could be held at the same time. Okay, dual wielding. I'm down for that. Apparently that's not a thing that they want to add. Fix an issue where the breath gauge did not appear in killer spectating death camera replay. Fix an issue where spectating in first person showed inaccurate character locations, and an issue where a player that had been disconnected and reconnected could voice chat with a player he or she is spectating through killer spectating.
Oh, cool.
Nice. If his or her team was eliminated while the player was disconnected. I missed that. That would have been fun to be able to taunt the team that killed you. Fixed an issue where leaning was possible while in an emote animation. Remember how they have emotes in this game?
Yes.
Lulz. Fixed an issue where two players moving in a small space could sometimes get stuck. Been there before. Assault rifles poking in all kinds of places. Wonderful to see, if I may quote Jamie. Fixed an issue where the reporting screen message in spectator mode was displayed in English only. And that is patch number 19.
19, everyone.
Horn, 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 horn.
You're now leaving the personal computer place.
Mobile home, beep, beep. Join the clan. Search HOTDROP. Reach out to ITT Tom or the other mobile players. The Discord has a lot more information on that. So I just heard today we're full at 35 players, but by the time you hear this, live, of course, we might have more slots now, because if you grind out some missions and hit level 3, we can get more players in that clan. I'm not entirely sure how it works myself. I'm not even a member, to be honest. But talk to the mobile players who are. It looks like a ton of fun. There's daily missions. There's the war modes. They've got all of these. They've got Savage. I mean, they've got so much in terms of features. And just today, it dropped in the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds mobile subreddit. Patch notes for the 0.9.0 August 2nd update. So by the time you read this or you listen to this, there's a good chance that these are already translated and put out in English. But these right now are the Chinese patch notes that have been translated to English. So it's definitely not easily readable, but you can glean some information here. So they added the QBU. So they're like half a step behind PC. They're so close. They added the QBU, which is a 556 DMR. It replaces the Mini 14 in Savage. We have this on PC, but we haven't had it for that long. So it's right now coming to mobile very soon. There's a new competitive mode in mobile where auto pickup is disabled. There's no sound visualizations. There's no loaded bullets in firearms. And all weapons are no longer spawn loaded with 30 bullets. They disabled the auto open doors. So that's basically making a mode that mimics the Xbox and PC modes. It's the regular game mode that we play on those other consoles or those other platforms, but it's coming to mobile because previously everything that they had in that game was sort of catered or tailored to a mobile experience where, like I just said, doors automatically open when you walk into them. Guns already have the bullets in them when you pick them up. So there's a new competitive mode. There's also the new Roni, the pickup truck on Savage. They added first-person driving. They changed some sounds for the Jeep. Car radios can be turned off in settings. There's definitely a bunch of combat-related optimizations here that I don't really understand because the translation is kind of poor. But they optimized a bunch of things. They added a custom panel to store data in the cloud. Players can download the uploaded data via another device and download it. This is someone translating that, and I don't think it's done very well, but it sounds like you can probably save your character and your progress to the cloud to be able to switch devices and then load that character back in. I don't know if that exists now, and that's just my guess at what this is. Players who have joined the same clan for less than 24 hours, the chief of the clan and the deputy of the head clan cannot kick him out of the Legion. Again, some notes here that are very butchered because someone translated and then added their own information on top of them. Let's see, is there anything else interesting? That's probably about it. I mean, they've got new crates, I believe. They updated the rewards. Yeah, I mean, we know it. Mobile is doing very well. It's very, very close behind PC. You can change the reticle and color on sites. Reticle brightness can be adjusted. Yeah, when the next episode, I think what we'll do is we'll probably have the official patch notes, the ones that are written in English, and we'll have the more accurate descriptions of all of these changes. But for now, that's just a little bit of a taste on what's to come. I don't know when this is coming out, but I bet it's pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that because they seem to be updating it quite frequently.
It's the time for our favorite segment.
John makes a great point.
Who's definitely here and not in London.
Totally not. Roll it.
I think my point is like if I see enemies, I take a shot because I think it's really helpful. So yeah, this has been me, John, making a great point.
All right, but really, John's in London or Europe or wherever he is again. So we don't have John this week. R.I.P. John. It's the question of the week. That's the question of the week.
The question was all about esports.
It was. Again. So, what are some of the things PUBG can do to make it a more exciting spectator sport? Also, share your thoughts about the PGI tournament. Rosie says there should be an ability to follow people on Steam. It would be nice to spectate people who are already in a game, even if it's just friends. That's really fucking cool. Watching friends or people in a game, when you log in and you have to either wait for friends or play a quick solo game to finish it off. Obviously, you don't want people giving away details, so even a 2-minute delay or something would be kind of cool, or even just a custom game. And then he said PGI tournament, if they want it to be something like that, all for them. I think that is a really good idea of like the amount of times where we'd have to hop into Discord and you'd be like, I'm just finishing up a game, or we just dropped into one. Like, be able to click that and like go and watch them even if they're not streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just hop in there, you know?
Yeah, definitely. This is a different take. I wasn't really expecting this kind of answer. So this is cool. Like, it's not just esports, it's spectator sport. And that's how he answered that. Like, quick in and out, being able to access the game, watch it. Yeah, I know there is Steam streaming. John mentioned that, but yeah, this would be cool.
All right, so here the mamma jamma of all responses here from Clay this week. He wrote an essay.
The Big Daddy Big Dog, and he like basically pushed other people out of even answering. Point Click Dead was like, "All right, you wrote 2,100 words. I'm not gonna answer." So I feel like I can break this down and give a couple bullet points here. So he actually wrote over 2,000 words about PUBG and esports, and they're all really interesting words. I'm going to be honest, like, you should give this a read if you're curious, because there's some really good points here and stuff that I never even considered, especially how he compared it to poker. So let's talk about that. So Clay has some background in esports. He says that every game he's ever touched, he's been very competitive in, and he's not really having fun unless he's winning and playing the best he can. So he's been playing first-person shooters for 16 years, mostly Counter-Strike. He's worked at some LAN tournaments. He was an admin for ESL for 2 years for League of Legends. He ran amateur and professional online tournaments. So he's deep into the scene. Like he knows his stuff pretty well, I think, with those credentials. He's also played poker for about 10 years and has participated in multiple World Series of Poker tournaments. So this is an interesting connection that I never really thought would really work, but he really makes it work. So he says that it's unfair to compare PUBG to other esports because it's not the same type of one team versus one team game. It's a new genre and it needs to be addressed in a different arena. So far in esports, we have not really seen a game that has multiple teams in the arena at once. So in order to really compare it, we need to look outside of esports to other types of games. So he compares it to poker, where he says poker is a game that features a large field of players all playing against each other at the same time, but it's not like other sports, and it's not really considered a sport, but it's considered a game. But it's not like other sports because poker has many players playing at the same time, but you have a table of players that at any given time you will be playing against. So maybe 7 or 9 other players will be at that table with you. So PUBG is similar in the fact that you will usually be fighting people in your immediate vicinity, with the rare occasion that you'll be taking fights across the map. So you have the close range, that 7 to 9 players in poker kind of applies to PUBG as well with your close quarters combat. So poker and PUBG also have creeping danger zones, he says, with pokers having blind and anti increases, and PUBG has the blue zone. So each will come in levels, so eventually that will cull the field and leave one player remaining. And during these level changes, we see the most action in both games. So they both have a level of randomness. You must execute a strategy that balances risk versus reward to be successful. And both are games of skill, but have a balanced amount of randomness. Being successful is about mitigating risk due to that randomness. Totally applies to both of these games. So poker as a viewing experience has had many hands going on at the same time. It's impossible to watch all of these at the same time, so you bounce around from watching the tournament from different people's perspectives. You might miss some action, but at the end of the day, you will get to watch the final table, which has the most important action, and you will see every hand every player has, just like in PUBG, where you will see 100% of the action from the final remaining fights, which are the most crucial. A winning strategy in tournament poker is to play careful, pick the spots cautiously, and not put your chips at risk, like in PUBG, where you want to have a smart positioning and get into the fights that put you at an advantage while avoiding the randomness and surviving to the higher levels. So in poker, there are no points given out for how many players you take out of the tournament or how many chips you had in the early levels, how many flashy bluffs you might have had. All that matters is being the last person alive at the end. This is really deep stuff. I'm skimming over some of this, but like I'm hitting a lot of I'm saying a lot of it because it's so good, and like it really dives into really specific details about how these games are similar. Did you have something to say there?
No, it really makes you think. Like I think we've all been kind of critiquing it from the wrong perspective, but that poker analogy?
Yeah, I think so. That'd be the right word.
But that poker analogy is just really sets a new tone for the way that we should look at this.
Right. So now he brings up some other stuff, things about viewership. So one of the things that has been brought up before that is not easy is that it is not easy for the casual viewer who has not played the game to understand what is going on. So basically what he says here is he doesn't think that's true because every single time he has talked to someone about PUBG, he just says, it's the Hunger Games. That's what I've said to everyone too, myself. Mm-hmm. I think I said it to you when I was telling you about it. Yep. I said it to Kyle when I was telling him about it. And people know, Hunger Games, Last Man Standing, Battle Royale. I don't know if those words come to mind, but they understand it's like a whole bunch of people in one spot fight to the death. They get that. It's literally a game based off the movie Battle Royale, which is a Japanese movie about kids being shipped off to an island and fighting to the death. So it's really easy to understand the concept. They might not know the areas of the map if a new player is watching a game, but they know exactly what is going on. They know that this person shot this person, so they advance, but that person who died does not advance. If you survive to the end, you win. It's a general grasp of the game. It makes sense. People who follow the game or play the game at a high level will understand what early game strategies are. They'll be able to see where people drop, how they loot, how and when they decide to move, how to approach different situations. I'm going to throw in how to use utility like grenades and smokes, flashbangs. This is a survival game, and seeing how a team decides to set themselves up for success with every decision is entertaining and thought-provoking and may help you come back to your own game with new strategies and ideas. So it has that watchability of someone who has never seen a game like this before because they will be able to know what's going on, but it also has that next level of being able to really understand the game at a deeper level. As someone who has watched this, you can glean some strategies from it. So one of the biggest issues is that we don't see every bit of action for every team for the whole match. But this, I agree with him. He says this is inevitable. He says that having a stream for each individual team is a step in the right direction. And the casters are getting better at setting the table and observing it. But in late game, it matters less, though, because we're able to get a good overview of everything that is happening, and it's the most important part of the game. So improvements, easy fixes for PUBG as a esport would be to have a stream of a live updated map that shows all teams so that people can watch the map if they want and keep an up-to-date view of everyone's position. For the final day, have a caster that follows each of the top 5 teams on their own stream so that you can follow every movement of the team you are cheering for with commentary. But things he says he wouldn't change is the point system. So this is one thing that we and John really stressed, was that they should have points for kills because we want to see action. And other people on Discord said this as well, that there's really no incentive for going out and picking fights if the goal of the game is to survive to the end. Why would I put myself exposed to dying if I can just camp in a bush? But that's not exciting to watch. So he says he would not encourage players to get more aggressive early because those kills are still available later in the game where you can also get rank points. So he says, again, he feels very strongly that the points for kills should not be increased. The only thing that would happen if you increase the kill points is that we would see more people die intentionally dying to the blue zone or killing themselves off on purpose to deny those points to other teams when they know that they are not going to survive anyway. Interesting. Circle speeds and sizes. Overall, he says they're in a good state right now. 30 minutes is a good pace for the game.
I like that it was around 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a good amount of time for a spectator to watch a game from start to finish.
Especially with the rounds, because they would run a half an hour and then they would have like around 25 minutes of commentator and review and analytics, and then they pop right into the next round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good amount of time. But his suggested overhaul is for the online spectating option to air all the rounds leading up to the final day on a 1 or 2 hour delay, to have the final day of broadcasting be aired live. So you'll be able to see all the buildup. You'll be able to see all of the storylines. The observers will have more time to follow all the action. They would know which storylines to follow for the first couple of teams. It's sort of like any kind of show that has been pre-taped. You know, you usually have a decent idea of who's going to win sometimes because of the storylines that they follow, and who's going to die off early because they don't really give those teams a whole lot of attention. So it's all presented in real time so that it looks like the event is live, but they would still air the finals the same way that they're doing today, with a specific commentator for each of the top 5 teams following their action in a separate stream, so that if you have your favorite team, you can follow them with a caster that's sort of rooting for them with their point of view. He says he thinks this strategy would work because we would be able to get an in-depth analysis of the specific teams that are going to be in the final circles during the first 15 minutes, instead of trying to talk about the massive amount of 20 teams and just touching on each one of them lightly. So it'll be a little less boring. We'll have those storylines, and you'll be able to bring that all together into a big climax at the end in the final circles. The current state of the PGI, he said he absolutely loved the voting on a team. So this is something you could do to vote in-game to be able to win a skin. So you have a little bit something riding on each game. That's exciting. He likes that each team had their own stream. He followed two or three different teams. He wished he had a camera on the players as the action was going down to see the reactions.
Yes.
That is something you mentioned.
I said that. I need it to happen. I want to see them fail, and I want to see them succeed. But
yep.
We just didn't get that.
Absolutely. And I also agree with him. He says he's very impressed with the talent of the casters. They know their shit, and they do a really good job breaking down the strategies.
Honestly, Moses really impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
He was really, really good. And I know he's knowledgeable of the game, and he's actually a really great content creator. But, like, that guy as a commentator just hopped right in and was really good.
Yeah. And it's not an easy thing to do, to commentate, for sure, and to be able to track all of these movements. Each region has representation, which is cool. He said it doesn't usually happen in esports. Almost everybody that is watching around the world has a home team to cheer for. My argument, and it's something I brought up in the past, is that, you know, what's a Team Liquid? You know, what's a Genji Gold? Like, I don't know what that means. Like, as someone who doesn't follow any of these brands or esports companies, I guess, I would like better naming to be able to understand who I should root for. But yep. I know an American team is probably what I'm going to root for because they're from my home region. That makes sense.
If that was the case, but that wasn't the case because there were only 3 teams from across the country. And so at that point, I don't even pay attention to the American teams out there.
Yeah, I think I would
I was really enjoying watching Liquid play.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping they were going to win. Like, they were just fun to watch. And so I think it's not going back to what we were talking about earlier, I guess, is like, it's not about the region. I don't think it's about the storyline. It's about the people. And so being able to promote these teams as people and who they are and what they do and what they bring to the table is the key to that. That's what they do for NFL players. At the beginning of every game, in the middle of all these things, they have a 2, 3, 5, 7 minute interview with these people that show the road that they've been on and how they got there. And I only saw that a couple of times during the entire coverage, and they were pretty shoddily done.
Yeah, but it's all in the sport storylines. It's all like giving you a reason to follow these people or care about them.
Yeah.
It's always something that's been missing. Because when you're watching a game, you're not seeing the person, you're seeing their avatar, you know. So, overall, Clay says he would rate the PGI as a B+.
Yes.
And I am so thankful that you took the time to write all this stuff down. I think your comparison to poker was the highlight of this entire thing. I think you absolutely nailed it. Never would have thought of these things and linked them in this way. So cool. Anything to add before we move on?
No.
Love it. Thanks, Clay. Huge thumbs up on that. John did some replying to that. I'm going to bring up someone else. Kyler says, you want to take this one?
Yeah, Kyler says, I already think PUBG is a boring esport. In my opinion, PUBG is a basic form of the opposite of an enjoyable esport. Games that I enjoy watching, like CSGO and Siege, take place in small controlled maps with very few players. You get to see almost every engagement. You see both team strategies and how they execute it. PUBG has dozens of teams and a huge map. It's harder to cover. Also, randomness is a huge issue. Esports try to remove any variables, so it's only about the skill. PUBG is a game built around randomness. You could remove the randomness and lower the player count, but then, to quote Dano, it's just another shooter with shitty netcode. Base PUBG is about surviving and getting the chicken dinner. Put money on the line. It encourages camping. The point system alleviates this, but when it's not PUBG anymore. Personally, I think that they should stop pushing the esports so hard. It's not a viable esport, in my opinion. The only way it'd be fun for me to watch would be a slower war mode, and war mode similar to mobile's sniper match. War wouldn't be competitive at all, but it would be the interesting to watch. As modified version of the sniper mode makes the most sense to me. Circle starts at around 2 cycles in and moves slowly, and very few cars spawn because they're really not needed. Only 5 to 6 teams of 4. Extra loot spawns in these modes, so you can't get screwed by bad loot. The strategy comes from what you pick up, and you're only able to cover most engagements with less teams. It still has the heart of PUBG with looting, circles, and enemies. Other than those modes, PUBG will not be fun to watch. Also, damn, Clay. Halfway to writing a novel on PUBG esports.
Yeah. Interesting take. Completely opposite.
It is. Yeah, no, it's the total opposite. I don't know. I would disagree. Like, I think that it is. If you take a lot of other sports, yeah, they have rules and regulations, but there's so much randomness to act like football, soccer. There's so much randomness to all these games that you don't know whether it's not about like loot or anything, but it's about like the playing conditions and how the players are physically feeling or playing that day, or injuries that are occurring. Like, there's so much that can affect your game that you're not ever going to play on a level playing field. So the randomness of these games and the uncertainty of what you're going to find or be able to use or draw from that day, I would draw that parallel.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole phrase, any given Sunday, any team can beat any other team any given day.
I mean, hell, Michael Jordan had one of his best games with the flu, so...
Yeah, exactly.
The idea that the randomness and the things that are thrown at you that day are going to affect the way that you're playing, like, I think that makes it more fun for me to watch. And yeah, the early game of the esport is a little bit boring, but these people know what they are doing, and so being able to watch their strategy, like, I learned a lot about how to play differently and try some new stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
I don't think many people camped.
No, definitely not like they used to. I remember the Gamescom one, there was a lot of camping, but I didn't notice that nearly as much. And it might have been because they weren't showing it. It also could have been because this wasn't a solos tournament. I know that the Gamescom one had some solo rounds. So you can't survive if you're camping in a group. You won't have the gear to be able to do that.
That's some good insight, though, KK.
Yeah, this was a really good comment. I think I'm leaning the other direction, but I mean, I appreciate the different points of view, and you make really good points, honestly. And everyone is likes different things. You enjoy watching CS:GO. I love watching CS:GO as well, and I agree with you about the team strategy stuff. You can really see the setup and then the knockdown. I think that's like a TV thing. Like you set the dominoes up and then you knock it down for the audience. And that's that's what you see in CSGO that you don't really have in PUBG because of the randomness and because of there is no set map that you're confined to, or there is no set strategy that you can employ at any given time, like in CSGO where it's like the same rounds over and over again. I've gone to bomb site B 3 times in a row, so now I'm going to go to A. Like that doesn't exist in PUBG. Like nothing like that exists. Every single round has its own story.
Right.
So
moving on to our last bit of input here.
Yeah.
We have the Scale Speeder, and he said, I thought the PGI was really fun to watch. Converted me to someone who thinks that watching competitive PUBG is an entertaining experience. I watched on PGI homepage on my laptop, so you can have multiple streams open at once, and the casters with their overview, the map, and the stream for from a team of your choice. Oh, that's awesome. I think you got to learn how to watch. In the first couple games, I didn't really understand what was going on and what I should be looking for, but by the end of the tournament, I could directly relate to where the teams were on the map and the fights that they were having. We've all been in those various situations, and it was fun seeing how they dealt with them on a pro level. As for changing the format, I liked it. The slow start with the excellent casters filling in the gaps between the action and cranking up the excitement as the fights really started. Stick with how it is, but also bring the competitive rules to our game. Overall, a fun and exciting watch, and I look forward to the next PUBG Major. Yeah, I feel like that's what it is. Like, over time, you really got it and you understood. Like, my criticisms, as I said, changed, especially with the commentators and how they filled that time and how they switched the maps. And by the end of the tournament, you could see how they figured they were going to do the split screens and stuff from the Twitch page, not the PGI homepage, which I didn't even know it really existed. And so maybe that's a better way to do that, because I bet what Scale Speeder was seeing was a better version of what I was seeing, because everything was on one screen on mine from the Twitch broadcast, not from the homepage where you could watch multiples.
Yeah, I think he makes a good point also about like learning how to watch too. Like anyone who sits down and watches baseball for the first time is not going to understand what the hell's going on either. So I think sometimes we judge it a little bit unfairly, saying like beginners won't know what's going on. Well, it's the case with any sport, with any game, anything that you're watching for the first time. They're figuring out the formula. It's getting better. I think the split screens are crucial to be able to not lose out on the action. Maybe some replays between sick plays, like overlaid, like Dr. Disrespect has his little pop-out replay of sick plays that he does. That kind of thing, I think, was used. And they're really perfecting it. So, yeah, I don't think it's right to just say, like, I don't know what I'm looking at, and like that's a reason for it being a bad sport.
What's interesting, I think it was in one of our first Jamag piece that we talked about that, and you made the reference like you could hop into baseball or football or see that, and John pointed out that his wife like does not understand that stuff, and that's where we were kind of corrected. Like, oh, you're right. Like, if you have no reference or context point, you really won't be able to pick up on this stuff.
Yeah,
but
totally.
If you come into PGI with an idea of what you wanted it to be, you slowly picked up on what was happening fairly easily.
Yeah, and I would argue like this is a easier game to understand than CSGO is, because like you just know like, oh, the guy shot guy, okay, he wins, that guy loses, you know, all the way down to the end. So yeah, this was a great feedback.
So much good stuff. So this week's question, everyone, we're going back to the basics. Now that Miramar has been out for a while, do you prefer it over Erangel, or do you like Erangel better? And for PC players specifically, why is Savage the best map in the game? No questions. Just why is it the best map in the game? It's pure magic. Why is it the best? So again, now that Miramar's out, do you prefer it over Erangel or the other way around? And why is Savage the best map in the game? Let us know. And I make the hotline play. I can only make one thing.
You have new messages.
I'm Forrest Gump. Mom says I can call the HOTDROP because you've done your 50th episode. That's so cool. I love to play PUBG, and I wanted to say a few things. When you start PUBG, you have to drop, and you got to get yourself a gun. And that reminded me, PUBG's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I also wanted to say, one of the guys that does this, his name's Dano. That reminds me of Lieutenant Dan from when I was in Nam. And then it also made me remember that sometimes when one of your teammates is down, I got to say fugly. Anyway, sometimes when you're playing a game, something happens, you get caught in the blue. Well, and I just wanted to say, it happens. Shit happens. Sometimes when I'm playing, I don't find me a vehicle, so I have to just run. Well, I'm Forrest Gump. I love to run. And finally, because Mama says I got to go now, when I put a pen on, it stops me from getting shot in the buttocks, sir. That's all I've got to say about that.
I got a question for you. Why'd the chicken cross the road to get to the idiot's house?
Hey guys, this is the baby man from the Xbox community. Just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Suds and Fugly and Fugly's buddy as well. We got a pretty close second place. It was a lot of fun playing with you guys. And great job on the show, guys, as always. Sounds great. And can't wait for next week's episode. All right.
Knock, knock, Dano. It's the chicken.
Yeah, it's Super Champ. I just want to throw out there, again, it was talked about in Discord like a few weeks ago, maybe a little over a month ago, but football season is upon us. The great and mighty Baltimore Ravens play tomorrow, Thursday, Hall of Fame game against the Bears. And just want to go out there and throw out, again, the idea of a fantasy league for HOTDROP. I really don't care how many teams there are. I figure the more the merrier, makes it a little bit better so everybody can't have monster players up and down the roster and on the bench. Just want to throw it out there. If somebody doesn't want to, from the podcast, step up and take charge on it, I guess I can or will. But, yeah, just want to throw it out there. Wondering who else is interested. Yeah, let's talk about it.
I just wanted to say that all you hot droppers make my life complete.